right, good evening.
He's sitting there.
I think we're about ready to.
This is your seat.
Oh, that's my seat.
You want to move to this side?
She gets the main seat. All right, I think we're ready to begin. Welcome to the June meeting of the Palo Alto Human Relations Commission. We will start with roll call.
Commissioner Savage?
Here.
Commissioner Alasani?
Here.
Commissioner Ikedi?
Here.
Commissioner Oman?
Here.
Commissioner Stone?
Here.
Commissioner Chen? Here. Commissioner Marin? Present.
Great. All right, do we have any changes or requests or deletions to the agenda tonight? Are we good there? All right. Do we have any oral communications from the public? All right, nobody's filled out a card. Okay, great. All right, so do we have some minutes to approve? No, we don't. Okay. We're zooming right through this agenda. Very efficient. All right, and then let us begin with our guest speaker. As you know, we've been doing a learning series on affordable housing. So recently, I met Raul Rojas for the first time. It was my pleasure to meet him at the award ceremony for the new micro enterprise program, and I got to talk to some of the brand new grant recipients. And in the course of chatting with Raul, I found out he's a case manager at one of our residences, and I said we'd love to learn more about how case managers help people stay in sort of permanent supportive housing, and what some of the responsibilities and challenges are there. So, Minka, did you have anything you wanted to add about Raul? All right, so Raul, if you'll come forward and give us are you presenting with a presentation?
Yeah, I have some kind of.
Okay, great. All right, so just make sure you speak into the microphone so we get you on camera.
Excellent.
And I should say, so Raul is at Alma Place and the Barker Hotel. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Good evening. Thank you very much for your invitation to present the work that we do at Palo Alto Housing Corporation, the resident service program. I'm very happy to be here and share with you our work, and also to hear some of the questions or concerns that you might have. And also, it's important for me to recognize the wonderful work that you do as the Human Relations Commission, which is, I think, it is make a wonderful contribution to really promote a better society, a better communities, more diverse communities. So, I'm Raul Rojas, Resident Service Coordinator. My background is in counseling, and I do a lot of case management. Palo Alto Housing owns about, how about I will do this? What will be easier? Okay, we own 652 units in Palo Alto, and that includes studios or single occupancy rooms, families and seniors. That's basically the scope of our services or the population that we served.
So Raul, are these rental units, or does that include the owner residences?
This is basically rental units.
Okay.
And as you know, Palo Alto Housing has been around about probably 40 years. And basically our mission is to ensure that we have housing for low-income families in Palo Alto. And that's basically the mission of our organization. Alma Place, probably you know where it's located, is 753 Alma Street in Palo Alto, between Homer and...
Can I help you to get on the slideshow? Do you have a slideshow? You could do a slideshow thing. And
If you hit the presentation, what she's saying.
Yeah. These are our techies.
Okay.
So they can
That will help.
make it easier to...
Yeah.
Yeah, and can you guys bring the slide over more onto the screen?
It's really, it was very difficult to get it.
Yeah, it turned off for a while, so they're treating it.
Okay,
like
and then you just hit this.
Okay.
Excellent.
We'll just hit it
Perfect.
back.
Thank you, Professor Chen.
Very much. Uh, we have 106 units in Alma. And the Barker Hotel, it's in Emerson Street and between Lytton Avenue and University Avenue. And we have 25 units. This is a kind of a picture of one of the studios in Alma Place. It is about 238 square feet. They have like a microwave, single bed, a little counter, and a table and chairs. And also, yeah, basically, and they have a small refrigerator as well.
If the average size is 238, what's the smallest size?
The smallest, well, actually, we have bigger. Actually,
Are
that's,
there smaller than, is 238 the smallest?
that's the smallest,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yes.
So is it a real studio, meaning that the sofa is a bed? I mean, the room is everything?
The room is everything,
Okay,
yeah.
good, yeah.
And are they furnished, Raul? Do they come furnished with this
They
table and
come-
chairs? Mm.
Yes.
Oh,
They
okay.
come furnished with a single bed, tables and chairs, and microwave and refrigerator.
Okay, but no real cooking facility.
No, and that's one of the things that, that's why we have at Alma Place, we have like a community kitchen. So people, if they want to, cook, they use the community kitchen whenever they need it. Any other question?
Well, so if it's a community kitchen, does that mean that there's different ways in which people, everybody can go and do what they want to do? Or are there, like, one night everybody gets fed? You see what I'm saying? Which is, or is it just that you have to pick and choose? Oh, sorry. So, or is it that it's just anytime you want to go and cook, you can?
Yeah, anytime
facilities.
that you need to use the kitchen, you can just go and cook. And sometimes you organize like a community gatherings, community classes for cooking demonstration, and we organize them. But other than that, they can come whenever they want.
Thank you.
This is the Barker Hotel. We are in the process of remodeling it. This is kind of our goal. Really want to make sure that in the future, every unit at the Barker Hotel looks like this. We already have like 4 of them, 4 out of 25. So, but that's exactly what. And it's located in the heart of downtown Palo Alto. And it's again, it's completely furnished with a mini bed, a mini refrigerator, single bed, microwave, and also we have and it's accessible, wheelchair accessible. Downstairs, no upstairs. This is about kind of the rental rates and income limits. Since we are talking just about one person, this is kind of the maximum income. For one person to pay $485, is the maximum should be like a $21,546. And that goes up according with income. But this is, in terms of the minimum, well, it's enough to pay for rent and cover basic needs.
So Raul, do most of the residents have jobs, or are they on SSI or SSDI, or what's the?
Thank you for that question, because I'm going to be talking about
Okay.
who do we serve. And it's 133 residents, basically, combined, Barker Hotel and Alma Place. And it's a very diverse community in terms of ethnic diversity, and also different countries of origin. So we have, of course, white, black, Asians, Latinos, or Hispanics, and also from other countries, which is a really nice mix. It's kind of the microcosmos, what I think about the Silicon Valley in terms of the diversity. And this is a really wonderful opportunity for us to really kind of promote this sense of community and interaction and understanding and appreciation for people from different cultures, different languages. So that's a wonderful thing. The other is we have people of different educational backgrounds. People with college level education, some people with high school diploma, and everything in between. You know, people with jobs, people who retired a few years ago, former teachers, former social workers, that they weren't able to really, save enough money to pay for their retirement, and now they are on Social Security and some other probably retirement programs. So it's, in terms of income, it's very, very diverse. And in terms of educational background, it's also very, very diverse, which makes also this community very interesting. What we tend to think about low-income housing is just, people who no aspirations, people who doesn't have jobs, or people who doesn't have goals. But what we see is that many of our residents, they actually have a job, they have aspiration, and they have goals. They really want to succeed and do something good in the community. And part of our program is to kind of help them to work towards those goals.
How many children live
At Alma Place, we have one, because it's a bigger unit. And we are in the process to help her as a single mom with her little daughter. We're trying in the process to move her to one of our family units. But no children.
So Raul, the retired seniors that are living in your residences, why would they be here as opposed to maybe Lytton Gardens or Stevenson House? Was there just no room, and this is, an option for them having lower income, or how do people get triaged into these different types of senior residences? Do you know?
For some of them, it's about income, and maybe they don't have enough resources to pay for services. For some of them, they really want to have an independent. They feel like in this kind of independent living facilities, they have more freedom.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's kind of a very important factor. They say, well, I want to stay here in our place because I feel that I have some independence, some autonomy. And I have some people around me, my community, that helps me in that.
Okay.
So that's kind of one of the factors. Of course, also is that financial.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question.
Are these units Section 8 units?
In our, yeah.
The Section 8 sometimes goes with the facility and sometimes goes with the person.
Mm-hmm.
Does Section 8 go with the facility?
They go to the facility, yeah. But if they have the voucher, they come to see us, and we have allocated some units for that particular, for Section 8.
Okay, so everybody doesn't get to pay only, 30% of their income? I mean, I'm not being clear, but I understand that Section 8 sometimes applies to the unit. So if Alma Place was a Section 8, then all 125 units would be covered by Section 8. But if it's not, then somebody brings a Section 8 voucher with them, then they get the benefits of the Section 8 subsidy. So does the Section 8 subsidy apply to the whole facility, or does it only apply to persons who bring a Section 8 voucher with them?
To the person who have the voucher, just basically.
Okay.
And that's what they basically contact us and they say, I have a voucher, and say, we have a unit, we give you much. So that's,
And if they don't have a voucher, then they can't come. Okay.
they apply, and now I think that there is a long
Yeah.
list long waiting list and Section 8. I think that they stopped
Yeah.
giving. So because it's so long, people were waiting like years and years.
Okay.
So does everybody who's there have a Section 8 voucher
In a world.
in Alma Place?
No, not everybody.
Okay, so not everybody has a Section 8 subsidy.
Okay.
It's like, yeah.
But the ones who don't, they pay the 500. Okay. So they're being subsidized by the housing corporation.
Right.
Is that $500? Is that per unit or per resident?
That's per unit because it's only one resident.
Oh, okay. There can't be.
No.
Okay.
Just one.
So studio, there's only one person,
Only one person.
not couple.
Not a couple, with the exception of this mom and daughter.
That's
It's
it.
a normal place, yeah.
So our place is all studios, no one bedroom, two bed, no?
100, yeah, no.
Oh, all studios, see?
But our company owns other properties.
Oh,
They are family properties.
Yes, yes, I got it.
Yeah. And and also another very interesting aspect of the characteristic of our population is the what we call the different levels of life skills or psychological functioning. You know, we have people with, like I say, goals, and they really want to achieve, more in their current career, or they want to get another job, or they are looking for, they're going to school, back to school, getting training. And we have some other people who are kind of struggling in, surviving. Some people with mental health issues. So the spectrum is kind of which makes this community very interesting as well. We have people kind of highly functioning with people who are kind of having difficulties in really achieving their own personal goals or surviving. So, and then the way how we help each one of them is different. For example, we have some people who with mental health issues. I work with them to make sure that they are getting the kind of treatment that they deserve, what they need. I work in collaboration with the social worker, the doctors, and make sure that as a team, we are providing the treatment. And that the person is taking his or her medication. That he's attending programs, the daycare programs, the treatment program. So those kind of things. So I do a lot of one-on-one counseling, a lot of coaching. It depends on the person. And which makes kind of my job very interesting because I meet a lot of people with wonderful, a variety of skills and abilities and experiences and backgrounds. So that's very interesting. And also, the diverse needs for services. Then again, we have people who are needs to apply for Social Security. They need to apply for a Medicare, and we help them to navigate the difficult process of applying for that. We have people who are transitioning in their careers. Again, we provide them with some kind of job coaching, so they kind of, are able to get a new job or transitioning into a new career. So it is a different kind of services also. Some people need access to healthcare services, prevention services, counseling services, mental health, psychotherapy. So we help people to navigate and to connect them with the different resources in our community. So that's kind of the workforce where they work. That kind of just kind of example of where our residents, some of our residents work. Starbucks, CVS, Stanford University, Whole Foods, Walgreens, Safeway, local restaurants, fast food restaurants, people work in security services. So we have a variety of different jobs, different people working different jobs.
So Raul, do the residents have cars, most of them, or are they people who can't afford their own car and they're walking, riding bikes, taking buses? How are they getting to their jobs?
Some of them have a car, especially those who have like a more steady job, and some of them don't. They are more looking for jobs within downtown area, close, walking distance. So that's
Okay.
And they rely more in the public transportation
Okay.
in general.
So they have good parking space?
Mm-hmm.
You do have parking?
At Alma Place. At the Parker Hotel, we don't have a parking space. That's why kind of one of the barriers, because some of them have cars, but they need to move the car. So they ended up deciding, okay, I don't need the car. I don't want more tickets. So
Yeah.
it's a hard choice, but especially in downtown and where the Parker Hotel is very difficult.
For those without jobs, is one of your services to help locate and connect them with local jobs?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we have one on-site job coach that provides that kind of service. It's kind of more specific, resume, interview, how to prepare for the interviews, etc. It's more kind of targeted, more specific.
And does every resident have a case manager?
I'm kind of the case manager all the residents.
Okay.
But whenever they need more intense, more specific kind of service, we refer them to other programs. Like for example, in this case, if I'm approached by a resident who is looking for a job, I refer the person to our job coach. And if I have a person who is looking for counseling, more like a psychotherapy, I refer the person to a local nonprofit organization providing psychotherapy. So that's kind of, it's more like a, depending of the need. Kind of on the central point, I'm on site all the time, which allow me to kind of build the relationships, personal relationships, and also the trust. And that's, that's kind of the point from, they come to me and I refer them to different resources in the community.
When you refer them to these resources, are these resources free, or do they charge? And if they charge, who do they charge? The housing corporation, or?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We try to look for those services who are either free or low cost. And in fact, sometimes we work with the organizations to see if we can get a special kind of deal for our residents. If they want to go to counseling, is it possible that they pay only like $5, $10, instead like a $75 or $100, because counseling is very expensive. So yeah, it is. We try to do that through building some kind of partnerships and collaborations with other local non-profit organizations.
Is that hard to do?
It is hard, yeah. Because of course it is. It's about funding, and sometimes the non-profit organizations are also they struggling to bring funding to their own organization, and it's difficult to really provide the service. It's expensive, but we try. We try to, as much as possible, to really make sure that either, again, the services are free or low cost for our residents.
The ones that work in these places, is it mostly in the Palo Alto area, or is it up and down the Bay Area?
Everywhere, yeah, mostly in Palo Alto, and some in the Peninsula, Mountain View, or Redwood City, or Menlo Park, even in Sanibel. But mostly, I think most of our residents, those who work, they work in jobs that are close to us. In Palo Alto.
Raul, are any of your folks originally coming to you like through Downtown Streets team? Are they people who, were formerly homeless and transitioned through Downtown Streets and now they're living in permanent housing there?
In fact, that's also part of my job is kind of helping former homeless to transition into more stable housing, and also help them to deal with some of the mental health issues, substance abuse issues, and also to set goals so they can move. Yeah, that's kind of part of our work with former homeless, and it requires a lot of time. It requires a lot of time and commitment, and building relationships and building trust with them, because that's what we do. Any other question? This is basically the different ingredients, the different elements of our resident service program. Like I mentioned before, it's kind of, we provide a lot of counseling, one-on-one counseling. Sometimes people just come to my office to talk about anything, and I'm there just to listen. And sometimes they come and they want some advice about family issue or personal issue or career issue, and I talk to them. So, and some of them who are in treatment for some kind of mental health issue, they come to me and say, my medication is not working well. I feel like I'm kind of getting off. So I help them. I kind of monitor how they are doing in terms of their mental health. And so it's very, very, very different situations in terms of the counseling. But basically, I'm there to listen and to help them with whatever they need at the moment. And I have my background in counseling, that helped me. I don't do therapy because I'm not a licensed therapist. But I have some experience in counseling. That comes handy here, helps me a lot. But we don't do clinical therapy, okay? Not for the record.
When somebody needs primary care type help, do you send them to Peninsula Healthcare Connection?
So what was that?
Peninsula Healthcare Connection clinic that's in the Opportunity Center, where the care that they give is free?
If they are one of our resources in terms of access to health services for free.
And Mayview Health Center?
Maybe. And maybe you have a new wonderful program, which is the behavioral health program, which is, and now they are working more in mental health, which is great. I think now that we have another partner where we can refer our clients, our residents, for more kind of ongoing mental health services.
How about Momentum for Mental Health?
We work with them. Basically, most of our residents, they are part of the day treatment program, which is wonderful. It's a wonderful program. I hear a lot of wonderful things from our residents. And we work with the case managers. They are part of our team because our residents participate in the program and they see a psychiatrist, a case worker, and we work in collaboration to, again, make sure that we are assisting our residents with what they need. And make sure that they are doing well, because we know how expensive it is when they are not taking the medication and they start, getting off the track. So
These agencies provide this free or at low cost?
Momentum?
Momentum and Mayview?
Well, they charge. I think they cover Medical, Medicare.
So they can bill those insurances?
Insurance, they should, yeah, in fact, yeah. But Mayview, they also have the kind of payroll denial service because lack of ability to pay. They just have like a sliding scale for service, which is great. That's another really wonderful resource.
Mayview, so not Mayfield, Mayview.
It used to be Mayfield, and now it's Mayview. Yeah.
Oh,
It's that,
same, the one on.
it used to be Mayfield Community Clinic, but there's merger with another
Okay,
clinic in Mountain View. Now they are Mayview,
okay.
and they are located at the same place in the court.
Grand Avenue, yeah.
And the Momentum for Health is on California.
Yeah.
And Momentum is in California.
And can I just ask, because it's driving me a little crazy.
Make sure you speak into your microphone.
Almond Place. The apartments, where are they? They're not where we went, Teresa and Ray and I went for a meeting, is it? I thought that place was full of children.
We're close to it. I think it was 1 block away.
Okay, so it wasn't the same place,
Not
the
the same,
Palo,
no.
okay, all right. But the
Probably
same area,
You probably went to the new building, the new.
with the center for the
The
housing.
building was 1 block away, if I remember correctly. The building without the window.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, it is. We are located next to it's the Homer and Forest and Homer,
Got it.
by Alma.
The one with the statue or something that changes. The one that's in front of the, what used to be Ace Hardware.
Is next to the BMW. There's like a.
Oh, the Beamer. Okay.
It is next door.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So, Raul, if a resident is starting to, have a mental health episode, say he or she is not taking their medication or decompensating for some reason, what's the kind of the process? You reach out to their case manager, and that person reaches out to their doctor, or do you call their doctor directly, or how do you manage something like that?
When we notice that a resident is not taking his or her medication, of course, immediately I contact the social worker. He or she has a case manager, social worker, and communicate. We need to do something about him because he's not taking his medication. And most of the time, we form this great teamwork. We together develop some kind of strategy. Say, how can we get this person to take his medication. And so that's kind of the first approach. And if that doesn't work, and the person starts acting out, and is causing some problems in the building and other residents, we try to, convince him, this is not good. You're having some problems and in violation of some of the rules, and the residents are afraid, they're concerned. And if it is still, there is no change, we have to do some 5150. When, the mental health professionals and the police intervene and say, this is very important for you to take your medication, and so we need to do this, to take you some place.
So they put them on a hold, is it a 3-day hold?
3-day hold.
Okay,
And so that's kind of the process.
okay.
Our goal is, of course, we don't want to get to that point. That's why sometimes it's very time consuming for us to work really closely with doctors or the psychiatrists to really make sure that this person we are able to convince the person to take his medication and get back to the track.
Yeah.
And so that's why we are there. Basically, most of my time, my job is to really make sure that we are able to prevent that. But if we cannot, for some reason, we have to take the person to psychiatric hold.
Yeah, so another question I'm curious about is, the HIPAA requirements, which are the confidentiality requirements between a doctor and a patient, it's very strict. So do your residents sign waivers allowing, their case manager or social worker or you to know about their medical condition such that you're able to, intervene if something happens? Or how do you get around the legal restrictions?
Yeah, we ask them before. When they move, we ask them if it's okay for us to contact any caregiver or social worker or psychiatrist.
Okay.
That's important.
Yeah.
Legally, because we want to really make sure that we are doing the right thing and protecting the confidentiality.
Does everybody know what a 5150 is?
Yeah.
That's a provision whereby if somebody's a danger to themselves or to somebody else, the police can put them in a hospital for up to 72 hours.
Or unable to take care of themselves. Unable to take care of themselves and endanger themselves.
Okay? But it's involuntary.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Any other question? Well, then we do a lot of referral, partnership development. We have some partnerships with Palo Alto University. The students come and teach a stress management class, for example. And we have a partnership with Stanford University. We have a group that comes to do a meditation class once a week for our residents. And it's no cost. So they do this for free, the students do this for free, so this is a great service. We have other partnerships, for example, with the YMCA, and they teach some of the yoga classes in some of our properties. And so basically our goal is to kind of connect with other organizations so we are able to provide services on site at low cost or free of charge. Some different classes and counseling. And the partnership that we are working with the city with the micro enterprise program, we are really excited about this program because it really helps self-sufficiency. It really empowers people to use their talents and skills and to develop their own business, to create their own future. So two of our residents are grantees. They receive the funding. So we are working together with that, making sure that they succeed in their business. And the city is being very wonderful in really providing us with the support. So this is another partnership that we are building with Consuelo and
Stephen Taylor.
Stephen
Turner. Turner.
And we think that this is a wonderful model. That once, if we could be applied, in the future and different, even expand. Great. So that's another. We also we have some workshops about different health topics on stroke, diabetes, hypertension, different topics. Financial management. That's very kind of one of the things that we have observed is that there is a lot of need for basic financial management skills. So we are partnering with other organizations to come to our facilities and teach our residents basic financial skills, financial management skills.
So Raul, when you say basic financial management skills, do you mean writing checks and balancing a checkbook? Do you mean saving for retirement? Do you mean all of the above? Or
Starting with the budget, how do you do a budget?
How to buy stock?
And that's kind of our
buy
goal.
stocks might be a little.
We start with the basics, very basic,
Mhm.
and then we help them to move more.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Is this a life skill they just didn't learn growing up because they were very impoverished or just didn't have parents who were able to pass that down to them, or they just have had a, dysfunctional relationship with money because of being in and out of jobs or having mental health issues, or all of the above?
all of the above.
Okay.
Or,
Yeah.
or is it something that you find that many people have, not just the people at Alma Place? That is, that it's a cultural issue in our culture. That people don't really know how to look at budget and things like this? Is that true? Is that what you're talking about? Are you talking about-
That's what we see in our population, basically. And that's what I have observed in our population particularly. So I can talk about that in general. I think that's a huge need. That's why we really, and again, we are partnering with an organization in San Jose that provides this kind of training. So we have to go all the way down to San Jose. And also we are partnering with Job Train in Menlo Park to also assisting us with those kind of classes.
And Raul, I was also curious, do you find that 12-step programs are at all helpful for your residences? Do you have like on-site AA meetings, or are there local ones that you know that are popular with your residents because they're nearby, or they're helpful? Is there any kind of structure from that type of organization also?
Like AA works for some people.
And not
many
for
people,
others, yeah.
But it doesn't work for other people. It depends. I have residents who are, they have been in the program for 20 years, and they're sober. They've been sober for 20 years, or 15 years. And some other people who are kind of reluctant to that kind of program, and they are struggling with addiction. And some people who are getting clinical, traditional psychotherapy, and they're doing good. So it depends on the person. But in general, I think AA have a really good reputation in terms of helping people with addiction problems.
But they don't come and meet at your residences. So
No.
that's something your individual residents choose if that works for them, and they go to the meeting.
They go to different groups in Palo Alto. And so, yeah. Any other question? I think you have pretty much the needs and the challenges. There is a need for, again, for services for low-income families in terms of wellness, counseling, and psychotherapy in general. There is also a need for early intervention and mental health prevention, or mental health, early intervention for mental health issues. There's a lot of need for that. And one of the things that we are kind of observing now, you mentioned about the 5150, the law about protecting the rights of the patient, which is wonderful. I think it's really working out very well. But we find ourselves that sometimes it's difficult to really get a patient into treatment because they don't want to, and they don't feel like they need it. And according with the law now, is the only way how you can apply this law is when the person is a harm to himself or a harm to other people. And sometimes we have so many problems that happen before that, really, because, you know, and one of the things that we struggle with is to try to convince, the police department has been very helpful with us. We're working very close with them to really make sure that if we do a 5150, we do it in the right way. That we respect the rights of the patient. And at the same time, we take them to the right facility, the right place. And that requires a lot of work as well. And because, again, we have so many people with mental health issues that are not willing or able to get treatment. And that's another kind of challenge that we face in the mental health system.
Raul, could I ask you a couple of sets of questions? One about how do people get into these two places? Are there long waiting lists? What are the conditions that allow them to enter? Are they screened in certain ways? Or?
Well, yeah, that's the next question.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. There is a law, yeah, there is, in Palo Alto, we all know that there is a huge need for low-income, affordable housing. We have at least 3 to 5 years for some of it in these properties, long waiting list. And
How many people are on the waiting list? How many people are on the waiting list?
It says hundreds.
Hundreds, yeah. It depends of the property, but yeah, there's hundreds of people waiting.
But each facility of the Palo Housing Corporation keeps its own waiting list, is that right?
Each property, yeah.
Right.
Barker Hotel, probably the one at the Barker Hotel is not that, I don't have the numbers, I don't know the numbers, but I know that there's a lot of people waiting, and the kind of the period of waiting for a place is between, it
So
could
is
be
it-
less than that
Is a 3 to 5 year wait, is that for all of the housing corporation's properties?
in
Or are
general.
you talking just about Alamo
In
Place?
general, yeah, it's in general, yeah. Kind of, yeah.
Ballpark, how long people stay on the properties? What's the average stay in the properties? Like a few years, 10 years, more?
I would say that, yeah, it depends. We have people in our place that they've been there since the beginning. 15 years ago, I think it was 16 years ago. I would say probably the average, maybe 5, 7 years. People, you know, and our goal is basically to make sure that, you know, we see this as a temporary place for them to be, you know, and kind of regroup, regain new skills, and maybe move out to move up, you know, in their career and their jobs financially. They become more successful financially. So that's we encourage people to do that, you know, really to stay with us as long as it's needed for them to continue moving, you know.
So are you saying the Barker Hotel is conceived as kind of a transitional housing place, whereas Alma Place is more of a permanent residence, or?
Well, it both, because in general, I would say that in affordable housing, or low-income housing, we can encourage people to, you know, to move up, you know, to kind of work on their goals, get a better job, improve their educational skills, or training skills, those kind of things. So that we try to help them to move.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, success is when they move out to another, to a more stable, a more, maybe a little bit higher.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a good goal. But it depends. Some people,
So what is the average number of months or years stay
the years that,
in your, you know, in Alma housing?
we don't have the numbers, but I would say probably like a 5 to 7 years.
5 to 7 years, average.
But you don't have a fixed limit.
No, they can stay as long as they want.
But supposing they're very successful and they start to make $40,000 a year, can they still say if they are earning a lot of money?
Why they exceeded income limits, yeah.
What are the income limits?
Depends on each property.
Okay, so
For example, if this is the Alma place, is that,
21.
That was the-
To the lowest.
that's 21 and they pay $485.
that's the maximum income they can have before they move in? Is that the maximum income they can have in order to stay?
Mhm.
So if they make $21,547, then they have to move out?
Well, they can, the rent goes up.
The rent goes the top
At
one.
the top, we have the rent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they, for example, they move in with the 21,000, and now that I'm making 31,000, the rent goes up to 675.
What happens when the opposite is true? When they become more impoverished and can't afford the $485 a month? Do you do they just get kicked out, or do you help them transition to? Well, what happens then?
There are some, and us, of course, is like we try to avoid that they could get to that point. And if there is a problem with that, then we have, we need to find some other place for the person to live. Or we try to help them to transition to another housing.
But you guide them through that process then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's basically part of my job.
How do you know how much they make? You check their income tax return?
Every year they come and they do like we call recertification. And if your income change, you know, it shows in your income tax or whatever you have. Yeah, that's the way how they keep the property. They can keep living with us because they still have this within the limits of income.
So, Raul, I was curious about what types of mental health disability you see among the residents. So it sounds like some people have more serious issues that might be related to schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, but are some people struggling with depression, anxiety, is there a whole spectrum that you're seeing?
It's a whole spectrum, from schizophrenia or bipolar schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, and some people, dealing with loss. Some people dealing with the transitioning to a different stages in their lives, or some people dealing with moods, not temporary moods, but moods that they stay for longer. So it is a spectrum of different. Some people are dealing with social issues, the social skills. They need to understand and communicate better with other people. Some people have problems with, again, social skills. Or some people have problems with stress. We all have problems with stress. Anxiety. So it is very diverse.
Well, I wonder if you have any general comments about the nonprofit community and the extent to which they're helpful to you. Because one of the things that this group, the Human Relations Commission, does is help the city council figure out where to allocate what's called a HAZRAP money, Human Services Resources Allocation Program, where about $1.2 million or so is distributed every year. And one of the things we need to know is where are the organizations and what work do they do? Are there gaps in the support network? If you were to look around and say, do you think that the nonprofit agencies that are useful to you are adequate? Are there enough of them, or do they cover the bases that you need covered? Or are there some gaps that you'd be more successful if there were a different kind of agency or different programs that you could reach out to? What do you think the landscape in Palo Alto looks like in terms of the support network for the people that you house?
That's a huge question.
Well, we're not asking you to criticize anybody. We're asking what could you tell us that might help us in the future as we look for these agencies and make sure none are falling through the cracks, and help the city council decide whether more money is needed for these kinds of services?
Without mentioning organizations, of course, I can say, I can tell that access to, for our residents, it's access to food, for example, basic food services. And we have food pantries and La Comida, which are doing a really great job. I think, but there is still, I think there is a need for our residents to have more food programs for low income.
So your residents will go to food closets, for example, and see if they can get food for the week or for a few days?
And they do good, like a brown bag program, which is great. Excellent program that they deliver brown bags to low income residents.
Now, are your residents, is their issue that food is expensive and they don't have the money to buy food? Is it that they don't have kitchen facilities and can't prepare food? Is it loneliness and needing to have, meals with other people? Is it all of these things, or? Okay.
Oh, yeah. The challenge that we have at the Alma place is that people, they don't have kitchens inside. And they have a microwave. And it's really, honestly, there's not much that you can do with a microwave. You can, but it's very difficult. And so they kind of forced to go out and eat out, and it's very expensive to eat lunch, dinner around here. And say they do go shopping to groceries, stores. Next door, for example, Whole Foods is great, but it is
Too much money, yeah.
yeah. So they are spending a lot of money on food. So food, I think, is so basic.
So were they benefiting from the Breaking Bread program that Envision Shelter Network was running 7 days a week until recently? Did they used to go over to All Saints Church and do those meals, or?
Friday. I do Friday.
Because it's been cut back, so I was wondering if they felt the effect of that.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Okay. And did your senior residents do go to La Comida's subsidized lunch program?
Some of them,
Okay.
yeah, some of them go. Our residents are the ones in Alma Place and Barker Hotel. And in fact, we just met with one person from La Comida to
Mary Ruth?
yeah,
Okay.
to do some kind of outreach and really organize like a field trips. Residents or seniors, field trips to La Comida, and make this a social and fun activity. And they develop the habit of going. So they feel like they are, So that's one of the things that we are trying to do. For our residents at the Sheridan, it's kind of further away. We're trying to do that also with the Stephen House. They have another really good program for meals. So it is kind of really building more connections and relationships, partnerships with existing programs, and also see where are the gaps, what it is, how we can enhance existing programs and develop those, other programs that will help us to address those needs. I think it's a combination of both. And that applies to food, and I would say applies to counseling, applies to job training, in general, I would say.
So those kinds of services are around, but they're not adequate? There's not enough of them?
Or they're too expensive?
Some of them are out of the reach for our residents. I think in general, it would be good to have community-based programs that I've designed with the low-income families in mind. And what I mean is really thinking about, when you think about cultural competent programs, you design programs to make those programs accessible, appealing to this particular population. We can do the same for low-income families. How would we develop programs that are targeted to this particular population in a way that is appealing, the way that they will use it, that is user-friendly? What I found in terms of some programs are really good, but they are not really low-income friendly. They are not really designed to serve this particular population in general.
Can you, without obviously mentioning, can you give us an idea of an example, without mentioning?
In general, is counseling, for example. Counseling, mental health. Sometimes for some people it's a stigma to go to see the counselor or the therapist, and it's expensive. One session it could be like a $75. So it's about cost, and it's about the social stigma associated with counseling, for example. Is that the question?
No, that's a good example.
It is thinking, when we design the programs, thinking about the mindset of people in this community who are not offered, who are not, with this, have the money to pay for a private therapist or private counselor.
And I think for what you're saying, for example, is that if you're more affluent, you would go to a private counselor and it would be confidential and people wouldn't necessarily know. Whereas if you go to a place like the one near Mayview or whatever it is, it's less confidential. It's more of a. Is that what you're saying?
That's in part, yeah, and the other, yeah.
And how much do you feel your residents are impacted by transportation problems? For example, are there services they need and that are available but they can't get there? Like they don't have transportation down to San Jose, to the county, or are there other challenges like that?
That's a great question. Yeah, some of our residents, like I mentioned before, they have cars, so they don't have problems. Some of the residents, they don't have a car, and they need to go to, for example, a doctor's appointment in the past to the medical, the Santa Clara Valley Medical Center. And I remember one of the residents mentioned.
You mean West Valley? No, the other one?
Santa Clara County.
Okay.
Yeah, the Santa Clara County Hospital. And it took her like a couple of hours just to get her. And sometimes I was able to bring her around. Mm-hmm. Because it would take us like 20 minutes. See, sometimes, I think in some instances it is important for us to have some kind of transportation. We have a great public transportation system, and it helps a lot. But there are some areas, some parts of the city or the county where it's difficult to access, and you need a car. Otherwise, it's difficult to get there. So yeah, for some residents, and on the other hand, we also want to encourage autonomy and independence. We don't want to create a dependency. But it's kind of like a fine line. How we can assist our residents with transportation without, encouraging kind of dependency on us. So that's kind of. But yeah, transportation is a serious. It's a challenge.
Are there any other questions for Raul? Anybody else? I'm sure I'll think of a million more, but Raul, we've kept you over time, and you've been so wonderful. Thank you very much. It's a really great inside look at what it takes to, assist people who are going through this kind of situation, being low income in Palo Alto. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to share with us? Something that didn't come up that you would want to tell us that we forgot to ask about?
Oh, I just want to thank you for the invitation, and it's an honor to be here to share with you what's happening in Nova Place at Barker Hotel, and I appreciate the support that we always get from you, and the work that we do in Alto Housing Corporation and with the Resident Service Program in particular.
Thank you so much, Raul, and thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you again, Raul, for joining us this evening. We're going to move on to item number 2, which is an update on the council's discussion regarding additional funding for HISRAP in fiscal year 2015. So I'll give a brief intro, and Minka, please feel free to jump in if I forget anything. But just to update everybody, so HISRAP had 2 different funding cycles. One was a 6-year cycle for PAC and Avenidas, and one was a 2-year cycle for the other smaller agencies. Nice. So recently, Council decided to remove PAC and Avenidas from HISRAP, although we had requested that they not do that. We lost that particular discussion. And so what remained are the other 14 agencies that are much smaller. Now, normally we wouldn't be looking at an increase until the next funding cycle, which is not 2015. 2015 is the second year of the current cycle. But through some various lobbying, the council has agreed to add some money to the second year, which is unusual. So it's basically an incremental additional allocation. So at the last city council meeting, the council did something that is a little bit, I guess, unprecedented. And one is that they have added $100,000 for fiscal year 2015. About $31,000 of it needs to be prorated across all the agencies, which means in proportion to what they normally receive. But the council included PAC and Avenidas, despite the fact that they earlier removed them. Then the council awarded an additional around $63,000 to $64,000 and said that this would be up to the discretion of the HRC to allocate to all agencies, including PAC and Avenidas, if they choose to apply for it. So this puts a little bit of an onus on us as the commission to figure out how to allocate this fairly. So the leadership, Commissioner Brichetti, myself, and our wonderful staff liaison, Minka, have met to discuss doing kind of an abbreviated request for proposal process. All of our agencies do the full process for the 2-year funding cycle, so they did that for this current funding cycle. We kind of don't want to put them through the whole shebang again, but we want to let them know that this money is available, this additional money, and also the council wants to target 2 different areas. One would be new and emerging needs that have been uncovered since the funding cycle began, and there are some things that we can point to based on the supplemental needs assessment that we've been working on. The second is council is fine with them using the money to shore up baseline services that they're already provided. But the direction we got from council was that they are interested in seeing outcomes quantified. They want to know what the money's going for and who it served and what the impacts were. And they're also concerned that we have a very above board and transparent process, ensuring that all agencies can compete fairly. So what leadership and our staff liaison, Minka, has come up with is this, as I said, abbreviated RFP type process, which will be basically a short 1-page application. And we'll ask the agencies, what they could do with the additional money. Can they serve more clients? Can they start a new program? And give them a chance to tell us what they can do. And then we will need to form a subcommittee consisting of up to 3 commissioners who basically meet and review all these applications with city staff and then make recommendations that we'll bring back to the full HRC. And then the full HRC will need to approve, adjust, modify, or come up with a plan that then we're going to present to, is it finance and then the council?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a whole multi-step thing. The result of that also has an impact on us, on our meeting schedule, because it looks like we normally don't meet in August, but we do meet in July. But this year, because we have this work to do with needing to come up with allocation recommendations, instead of all of us meeting in July, we're going to cancel that meeting. And the subcommittee that's reviewing the applications will meet and do this work. And then in August, we will have a meeting where we'll need to go through those recommendations and decide if we're going to approve them or modify them. So this, as was said, we got thrown a little curveball, but it's actually a good problem to have because it's always good to have extra money to be able to allocate to these agencies that do such good work in the community. But it does mean a little bit of extra work on our part. So I volunteered to be part of the committee that's going to review the applications, and I'm working with Ray and Minka to develop the application itself. But I need a couple of people to volunteer to serve on that with me. And probably this would have to be done during the day so staff can participate, right?
I would think so.
So it would be someone would have to have some flexibility in their work schedule.
It could be that some initial work can be done through staff, just setting out the guidelines of what needs to be in it. And if the commission members want to meet on their own and then bring it back to staff, that's perfectly fine.
Okay. So typically we meet with staff, but as Minka is saying, we could be flexible. We could review them individually at home on weekends or evening hours and so forth. But yes, Commissioner Ward?
Thank you. I'm just curious. So this is the whole kit and caboodle, meaning it's also the supplemental needs. or is it just the existing? You were saying before that the council is interested in looking at how the money could be allocated to possibly some supplemental need, some of the groups that you, or the issues that you've seen?
Well, they said they were interested in whether there were some new and emergent needs, and there are some urgent needs in the community that are new, that have cropped up since the funding cycle began. So if we identified something new, and we have uncovered some things in our supplemental needs assessment, we can say, well, we as a commission feel this is very important to address, let's put some money here. On the other hand, we have some agencies that do good work, and it's not necessarily new work, but they would like to serve more people, say, and for extra money they could see maybe several hundred more people, then we might say, let's do that. So either way is fine, but we need to document and quantify.
Right. I think they were looking more on the latter part for things that they asked for money last year, and because we didn't have enough money, we didn't give it to them. So they're really looking for that. Mm-hmm. And just for clarity, that it's around 68,000, and we could give that to the HRC. Can give that to recommend to give that to one agency, 3 agencies. It's up to the complete discretion. So the 32,000 got divided pro rata with all the agencies, and then the 68 is up to the will of the HRC to recommend to finance how to divide that up.
Yes. Yes.
I don't want to interrupt you, though. Were you about to?
No.
Okay. So, for example, CARA, I think, got no money this time.
No, it's only the current agencies.
Only the current or new and emerging needs.
Of the current
Of the current
agencies.
Okay, great. All right, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, so we can't take on a new agency in the middle of the funding cycle, but we can
Or a new
distribute this.
issue, like I'm going to talk, just some issue that you've found out that
Well,
completely separate from these groups, it's an emerging need.
If it's not from the current agencies, I would say no.
All right. Thank you.
And they also they started a HISRAP, not really a trust
yeah,
fund,
that's right.
but an emergency fund. So if in future years, a reserve fund. So if in future years, HISRAP needs to be cut, the city's going through a downfall, and I'm requested to cut all my programs by 10%. They put $50,000 a year, no, $50,000 into this reserve. So one more clarification, if you don't mind, Chair Ann. The $32,000 is a CPI, so that's ongoing. The $68,000 they only gave for fiscal year 15. Now, if we're able to, show some really good results, there's a definite option that they would renew it for fiscal year 16, but they did not do that outright.
Yeah, they didn't commit to that. And that's another reason why we would need to show the money was, well spent and got some measurable results. That would help make a good argument for renewing it for next time. So we need to work with the agencies and make sure they understand that. And as I said, there are 16 agencies that will be eligible. So really the 68 is across that many people won't go that far. So it'll be a hard task to go through because all of them have such worthy, goals and services, and there's so many people in needs. It's going to be a hard task to decide what's the highest priority, but that's our job.
Right, and also be checking exactly what that application needs to look at. I've checked with our budget manager, who is checking with our purchasing department. So
Okay.
I know.
We're hoping it'll be a simpler, streamlined
That's my hope
version,
as well.
but with the procurement process requirements that the city has, it could turn into a little bit more bureaucracy than we're hoping.
This is new territory.
Yeah, it's very unprecedented, and in a way it's a very good problem to have. So if any of you are interested in working with me and Minka, we'd love to have you. Ray has to recuse himself because he has a relationship with one of our grantees. So he really can't be involved in that. And if any of you have any conflicts, you'd be in the same boat. Yes, Commissioner Warren?
I would.
You would have a conflict, or you would like to help?
I'd love to help.
Okay, all right, so put Dion down.
Depending on how many you need, too, because my intuition is this would be a wonderful thing for a new commissioner to.
Yeah.
Commissioner.
Yeah, I don't know. Commissioner, I want to call you Commissioner Meddy because I don't know how to pronounce your last name. But yeah, but I know with your work schedule, and I know some of our other commissioners work or travel or have issues, so I don't know.
Envision is one of the.
It's one of our grantees, yeah.
I have a friend on the board of Envision.
Well, if you're not on the board, I think it's
No,
okay.
I'm not. That's it.
Yeah.
If that's okay, then yeah, I'd be happy to volunteer.
Okay. All right.
If we had to recuse ourselves because of
nobody
friendship.
Yeah, nobody could do anything in Palo Alto. So as I said, we'll try to keep the meetings to a minimum. Probably we'll be able to do a lot of the review at home, but I'm anticipating probably at least one meeting during the day. I'd like to do it during staff hours so we can have Minka there. So maybe take off work early, or maybe we'll try to do it at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, so you just leave work early and just come and bang this thing out. And yeah, so then, just so everyone's aware, we will be meeting in August. I'm just wondering, can we kind of maybe take a quick temperature read to see will people be around at the second week of August when?
August 15th through August 25th, I won't be here.
I believe the meeting would be the 14th, Thursday the 14th.
August 14th.
Yeah, so does
And
that,
Commissioner Brichetti is getting his,
No, I think it's okay.
his
what about you, Greer, be here?
Think so. I think that's fine, yeah.
Okay, and
I'll be
then,
here on the 14th, but it would be difficult for me to meet at our usual time.
can you meet earlier or later?
There's a big do that I'm supposed to be at that runs from about 6 to 9.
Oh,
we can call a special meeting and try to have it earlier.
but if Ray has to recuse himself anyway,
Right.
then we can kind of chuck you, I think. So, I mean, sorry, dude, but.
I'm wondering if it's humanly possible to try to make it a little bit on a day that's earlier, only because I am possibly leaving on that day.
I thought you're leaving on the 15th?
I haven't got the tickets yet, bottom line, and it's a small period of time, so I'm not 100% sure. But the 14th, if you're going to do it, the 14th is a
It
better.
would be
Yeah.
good to have at least 5 commissioners.
Yeah, 'cause we need a
at least
quorum.
4, and Ray's already down, so.
You raised down because he's recused, and you'll be here,
I'm down
Teresa?
only if the agency
You'll be
that I'm
here?
That's
associated
correct.
with doesn't apply.
Right, if the agency he's on the board on does
Oh,
not
okay,
apply, he will
okay,
not need to
okay.
recuse himself.
Okay. All right, well, let's keep it our regular date and time, which would be the second Thursday at that time. But if somebody finds out, oh, they can't, hurry up and raise a flag, because then we'll do a doodle and reschedule.
I should know within a
So
couple
this,
days.
this really has to, we've got a kind of a quick time frame here to get this money allocated, so we want to make sure we jump on that.
Right, and then, for the retreat then,
So then we
Oh,
have to
go
figure out the
ahead. All right.
retreat. So we're thinking we might do the retreat in September. And then I don't know if we'd also have a meeting in September, or whether the retreat may be in lieu of our meeting.
I
And then
think we-
July would be our month
Usually
off.
is, yeah.
I think we probably should. I mean,
Okay.
the retreat.
Well, our study session with council this year isn't till November.
Right.
So I think as long as we get our retreat done well in time so that we can be prepared for that, we're in good shape. So that would be the plan then. So most of you would have sort of July off, and then the volunteers here and I will actually be scrambling around to do the subcommittee work. And then August we'll all reconvene. And maybe in August we can figure out a time frame for the September retreat, see when folks will be available. All right, so any questions on this whole HISRAP extra funding thing and what came up, and anybody's?
Well, Jill, was it a unanimous vote?
It was so close.
It was not.
It was so close,
Who
but
were the dissenters?
they were
Klein.
fine.
Klein and Scharf was not present.
Oh, okay.
But I'm sure Greg would have voted with us if he'd been there. I don't know. I don't know. But there had been some back and forth, but ultimately I think council felt pretty
Right,
okay
and I
with
think
it.
Councilmember Klein, some of it was that it was so unprecedented being in the off year.
Yeah.
It was procedural.
Yeah, and I think he's just has philosophically an issue with funding social services, but, fair enough, so. But anyways, as I said, it'll be kind of an interesting and exciting time, and it'll give our new commissioner a chance to really get to know the agencies, and Dion, I know, already is familiar with a lot of them, and I'm a veteran too, so then we'll see what we can come up with. It's good to have some fresh blood and fresh look at all this. So that's where we are. And so let's move on to our next agenda item, unless anyone has another question or comment. Okay. All right, so are there reports from officials? So are there any commissioner reports? Commissioner Chen?
I've done several things.
Oh my
First
goodness,
of all,
you're so busy.
I had coffee with Claude Keith twice. First was Claudia. First was with her herself, and then we decided that she liked to meet with the other Chinese lady who are people who had who are very active in Chinese societies around here, and I happen to know a few. So I arranged a meeting for them. 3 of them came. It was last Thursday. We had coffee together and introduced each other, and they had a very good conversation. So Claudia thinks that she's going to approach one of the ladies, Sandy, to know people working at the Chinese school because it's community-based, place. So she's going to do something connected with them, increase communication with them. That's one thing.
May I interrupt just for that? Who? Claudia Keith?
Claudia Keith is the communication officer for the city. Yeah. What else? The other thing is last Wednesday I gave another talk about Medicare and Medi-Cal to the senior friendship day at the Cubberley. I think it's very helpful. Somebody never knew. They didn't know about the distinguish between these two. I'm sure a lot of people don't know. But I hope many of them had learned something. Okay? So it was pretty extensive talk. Actually, Medi-Cal gets simpler because the expansion of Medi-Cal by ACA. But Medicare was still the old system, and that's pretty complicated. But anyway, I did it.
And you
So-
do this where?
Senior friendship day. No,
This where?
At Coverly.
the Cubberley. Next time, I'm thinking about either doing how to communicate with the doctors. It's one thing. The other thing I can talk about nutritional supplements. Okay, so that was a good thing to do, I think. Okay, that's all I have.
That's great.
Can I also just mention along those lines to you that there are the Chinese programs. I mean, there's Chinese programs now in several schools, right?
Oh, I don't think so. I think the Chinese school in Palo Alto is concentrated on Friday night at JLS.
But what I'm talking about is there's a Chinese program at the International School of the
Oh, yeah. That's that.
Different?
This is after school. The children go to public school during the day, and then it's like once a week thing. They go to the Chinese school to learn Chinese.
And so,
This is 50 years.
so can you explain to me though? My understanding was that you met with Claudia Keith in some connection with that had to do also with the school, and I'm just wondering.
That's right. She wanted to meet somebody in charge of school, the officials,
particular
administrators
school.
for that particular Chinese school. That Chinese school is the oldest in Palo Alto. It's been 50 years old. This year is the 50th anniversary. Okay, and then there are another subgroup of people. I was just talking to one of my neighbors. She's from mainland China, and she knows a lot of people, new immigrants from mainland China. She said there's at least 500 of them. So she's trying to organize, them. She want to talk to us, talk to the city hall, So she's now back to China. Her mother is sick, but when she comes back, we'll have her to meet with Claudia.
Fascinating.
Right. Are there some additional commissioner reports? Commissioner Bacchetti?
Perhaps Commissioner McKinney might. You're going to talk about it.
I just wanted to comment on the meetings that are going on in our Palo Alto program. Several of us here were at the last one, which was about scoping, namely what's the range of things that the city wants to get citizens' input on in terms of the future of Palo Alto. And the last of these 3 meetings is going to be on the 24th from 6 to 8:30 at the Elks Lodge, and it's going to be on alternative futures. And the topics that have come up in these meetings have been substantially about density and housing. Where are we going to put people? And to what extent is density the primary issue, and where would we, this last meeting we had maps and we looked about where might housing go in the city. And so this could be a very consequential set of discussions. It's been disappointing, the turnout's been disappointing. The first meeting, there were about 40 people. The meeting this week there were about 30 people. And I hope there'll be a lot more that come at the next meeting, because alternative futures is kind of an interesting topic. You can let the future happen to you, or you can try and take some control of the causal elements of what that future is going to be. So this is an opportunity to try and influence the latter. So I recommend coming if you can on that night.
If I could just add to that, which is in the end, I forgot the name, but the wonderful person in charge made a plaintive cry, because there were about 30 of us, and 4 of them are sitting at this table right now, and then there was, other people who I recognize from the community. So she said, call your friends, think about groups that can come, just about anybody, and it struck me that really should be happening, because if we're talking about our Palo Alto, and the whole point is to create the community of Palo Alto, this is not a representative group. That's for sure.
Right. Not only was size a problem, but a lot of the same people were at both meetings.
Exactly. Of the 3 meetings I went, all the same people, almost. Half of them.
And they're the same people that go to a lot of other meetings. So how do you get more people into the mix so that because it's going to be their future as well as those who are the steadies.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to echo what Commissioner Bacchetti is saying. I've attended some of the Our Palo Alto meetings. I definitely noticed a difference between the one that was held in the downtown library versus the one that was held at the Elks Club, because the Elks Club attracted more of the South Palo Alto elements, including members of the Buena Vista community. So there was a lot more diversity there. So I really encourage you, if you can, to come to the Elks Club at the next one, because I think that might shake things up a little bit. And it's a big open room, and there's usually plenty of chances for people to make comments and talk, and some of the city council members showed up to the last one. So it's really a chance to have your voice heard.
Actually, there was same meeting and happening in the Lucille Stern Center that we went. I think Ray and we went to same about housing, right? Mm-hmm. There were 2 meetings.
Yeah,
we went to the north
having
one.
them once in the north and once in the south. But I do feel like the south gets some people off the beaten path that won't show up to the downtown meeting. So I don't know how to say that diplomatically, and I live right across the street from the Elks Club, so that's the one I'm going to shoot over to. So I hope everyone will have a chance to come and see that.
Well, the north is kind of urban and the south is kind of rural. So
Yeah. Are there any more commissioner reports? If not, I just wanted to say a couple of things. I'm not sure this is technically a report, but I'm the chair, so I guess I get to do these things. One is the 4th of July annual chili cook-off is coming up, and I think everyone probably received an invitation. I was one of the judges last year, and it was a blast. So I really encourage you, if you'll be in town on the 4th of July, to come and judge. I know Commissioner Savage and her sons were there last year. And this year, there's a rumor we'll be able to judge ice cream as well as chili, so sign up and do that. Try to attend our Palo Alto. I totally agree with Ray on that. And I think I have one more thing I want to say, but I'm going to wait till we call for tentative agenda for next time. So, Minka, do you have your staff liaison report?
I just have 2 quick things. I forwarded this to you, but Community Law Night is coming up June 26th at Coverly. So this is a great chance for folks to come ask a lawyer questions put on by the Palo Alto Bar Association. I could...
Is it $400 an hour?
No, it's free. And then a reminder that 12 noon, June 23rd on a Monday is the groundbreaking for the Magical Bridge project.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Minka. All right, so our tentative agenda for our next regular meeting, which now will not be July 10th, but will instead be August, is it 9th, Minka? 14th, August 14th. So one thing that we had also talked about in our agenda planning is that last year at our retreat, we divided up into subcommittees, and each subcommittee took on some projects. So we'd like to kind of circle back around and get, some closure on the projects that we've all been working on. I'm still working on a report based on the supplemental needs assessment, and there's more research that we're going to work on this summer. So my final report probably won't be done till the end of summer, early fall, but I can give a status on that. I think Commissioners Bacchetti and Chen have been working on a report on affordable housing, and they're about done. So I think they want to have a chance to submit that report and have it reviewed by the HRC and then be able to hand it off to are you handing it to Planning and Transportation, or?
We hadn't decided that yet.
Oh, or the housing element. So I think they want to kind of get some closure. And then Commissioner Savage, I don't know if you want to kind of wrap up the things you're doing or tell us where you are.
Yeah, I'm still. It's the HRC brochure that we're trying to rewrite, and I am in touch with the city attorney almost weekly, but we have not been able to get together yet. Surprisingly, she assures me that her schedule is such that we will be soon. So hopefully by next month or August.
So at the August meeting, do we want to have a review session, either the final work product or a status on where the work product is with a due date established so that we can close this out? Or
I
do
would just
we
have
wanna
a
wait till the
concern how
retreat?
many applications we get for the HISREP. If we only get 2 or 3, I think that'll be a short conversation. If we get 14, we just would have to decide,
Okay. So then do we want to tackle
Right.
the closing out of the projects at the retreat, maybe in September, or is that too late for you?
No, September would be better if I'm not going to be able to be at the August meeting.
Okay. All right, so just put that on your radar, if you're, whatever projects you're working on, that came out of your subcommittee. We're going to be moving toward a finish line with that, because at our retreat, we want to come up with new priorities and challenges and kind of reallocate the workload and have some new things going on for the next year. How exciting, the work just never ends. So are there any other agenda items, or are we just going to focus on the HISRAP allocation for next time?
I did cancel the MAP program, which was supposed to come in July. I did cancel them. I did talk to her about the August meeting, not promising anything, so she doesn't believe she can come, but I'll see from her.
Which program is that?
That's Consuelo wanted to give an update on the micro enterprise program and the winners.
Well, if Consuelo is available, I think if she spoke first, and maybe we gave her 15 minutes, that we could still then do the rest of the meeting.
Okay.
So if she's available, I'd love to hear it. I was very impressed with how she and Stephen launched that program, and such an incredible first year. It's a big step forward.
Passionate they are.
Yeah, they're wonderful.
Energized every time.
Yeah, we want to see them and find out more about what's going on. All right, so is there anything else anybody wants to ask about, has questions about? Got our dates all figured out? We're good? All right, then we are adjourned. Thank you.
Quick summary.
You out of school yet?
Retreat.
Yes.
But as soon as the